Good morning, guys. Mike, aka Crypto Jewels. We've got some interesting price action across the board, indicative of possible reversals. So let's do a dive into Trias real quick. Guys, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take anything I say as financial advice. It's my opinion and my opinion alone. This video is going to get fairly detailed. I'm going to actually look at the bull scenario and the bear scenario. So let's hop into Trias on what we're seeing. So let's start, guys, with the bear scenario. So bear scenario is the one that I've been talking about for the past several weeks. My initial bias was that this was a 1-2-1-2, and we have already started the upwards trend. Once we lost this level here at 1050, my bias flipped to this potentially being an A, B, C, and we have more downside to come. The bull scenario that I'll get into here in a minute lines up still with my original scenario, which this is a 1-2-1-2. So basically, here's what we got, guys. We've got my C wave, which is the max pain scenario, being a 1-2, the orange count here, 1-2, 3, 4, 5, potentially taking us down 550 to 650, and possibly as low as $4. As I mentioned in my last video, this count could do a whole bunch of different things and still be a C wave. Like I said, this could be the actual orange 3, the macro 3, and this could be a 4 or 5 and a truncated 5th to form your third wave. This could be, you still could have your 3 come down to here and then a 4 up and then a truncated 5th down around 550 to 650. So there's still a lot of things this thing could do. But in the video yesterday morning that I updated, I talked about this zone at 1050 being a point of interest for me. I originally got out of this trade at about 1050, and we are trying to regain 1050 right now as support. It's currently acting as resistance. If you zoom out, let's look at the 12-hour. That zone has been a resistance zone all the way from back in May, where we got rejected originally here, had our nasty dump, came all the way up, retested that resistance again, rejected, tested it again here, rejected, and then finally broke above it, and then came back down and have tested it. Didn't test it here, but got close to testing it as support, bounced, and then here we have been kind of bouncing underneath it, above it, trying to either regain it as support or possibly confirm it as a resistance. So really, from a bear standpoint and also a bullish standpoint, but I view that 1050 as a very significant spot for us to reclaim. So like I said, I got out of this trade around 1050. I originally bought Trias back on this 2 wave, wrote it up, sold it on the way up, and I've been trading it back and forth ever since. But I believe I had gotten back into it around $4 or $5 and ended up holding all the way throughout this, and then got out at 1050. So still made a good profit on it. So I'm not going to complain there. But I just, guys, from a trading standpoint, a risk management standpoint, that's, I'm not going to watch this thing come back to my original buy. I'll lock my profits in at 1050, double my money, and then wait until I'm confident again on what this market's doing. So in order for me to be confident again, I want to see price action reclaim this current resistance level at 1050 and trade above it and look strong and show some signs of reversal. There are some signs of a reversal, as I talked about last time. We've got we're creating a bullish divergence here. We've got price action going lower, and then we've got our oscillator, RSI oscillator, going higher. So that's a good sign for at least at minimum a bounce. But on the bear scenario, I've got an ABC WXY situation working here, creating our 4-wave, and then I would anticipate a rejection, from this level here. What I will be paying attention to is the weekly close. If this thing closes up above 1050 on the daily, I'm not going to FOMO into it. If it does close above on the daily and then comes back and retests and is looking like it's going to actually turn this into support, I might buy here with a tight stop loss. That way, if it does retest it and price action starts to trade above it and it doesn't lose this level, then I have an optimal entry for the next leg up. But I would use a stop loss if I decided to buy if it does reclaim that 1050 zone. So that's the bear scenario, guys. We get rejected, somewhere around this area, and then head back down to my initial target of 550 to 650. And then the bull scenario is, like I mentioned, my 1212, which is what I had seen this thing as about a month ago. But from a 1212 standpoint, it retraced a lot deeper than I would have liked to see, which is why I ended up getting out at where I told you before, at that 1050 level. But this is still possible, and I can make a case for the 1212 setup. So if this is a 1212 setup, guys, you're looking at targets, still above $100 eventually. But I'm not going to get into the macro targets of this 1212. I'm just going to look at the micro count and how this thing potentially could be bullish. Oh, shoot. By the way, guys, I totally forgot to mention this. This count, this entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure gets completely invalidated if we trade into about $14. I'll put that up here. Let's put it at the wick. So 1445, 1440 is where this count gets invalidated. So we start trading above $14, then this thing's bull, in my opinion. So this entire count gets invalidated up there. I would not wait to enter above that personally, but I'm more of a my risk tolerance is a little higher. If you wanted to be extremely conservative, then entering up here at above your 1 wave, that would be a very conservative entry, which is not a bad idea, but I would prefer to enter at a reclaim of this, flipping this resistance into support. All right, sorry about that, guys. I forgot to mention the important part of the invalidation of that entire count. So invalidation of that entire count actually then turns this scenario, validates this scenario, in my opinion, pretty much 100%. So we trade above $14. This scenario is the count, and this is how I see it. So basically, we've got this as a macro 1, you've got an ABC as your macro 2 correction, and then you potentially have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, creating your micro 1 of your macro 3 ABC, and then you have a very large 1, 2, 1, 2, this being also a 1 wave as well. So this would be a sub micro count of your micro 1 of your macro 3. So this would be indicative of a wave 3 extension, which for people who like Trias and investors in Trias and traders of Trias, that is a very good thing, meaning this wave 3 will extend higher than a typical wave 3 at 1618. But anyways, let's look at what this count looks like on a lower time frame. So in order for this to be a 1, 2, and if this bear count gets invalidated, this is the structure that I see. I see an ABC WX, ABC, Y, and then a W, A, B, C, X, Y. This is a W, X, Y, X, Z. So this is a 333 complex correction, which would create your 2. So, basically what you've got is you've got a double zigzag and then some sort of a flat, to create your Z wave. So your W is a zigzag, your Y is a zigzag, and your Z is a flat. So that's your 333, is how I would see that. And this is very possible. Again, if this is the case, then this is the bottom here. I would not anticipate us dropping below that point there, 760. If price drops below 760, this counts invalidated. And that would validate some form of this count. So we'll have to kind of pay attention to this and see, how this ends up shaping up. If this starts to look impulsive, and again, if it reclaims this 1050 zone and retests it, and this turns this and flips this into support, that's when I will buy this back and assume that this count is accurate, and assume that we are finally making our way up to our higher price points. Now, guys, that does not mean if we flip this support here and this count becomes valid, it doesn't mean we're going to $80 next month. It does not mean that at all. This thing could grind around, accumulate, still cause a lot of pain for people who don't understand markets, and can see, if this thing gets impulsive, it will probably do something like this. So you could have a lot of people who freak out. You get up here, they think it's going to $100, and then all of a sudden it dumps back down and it does a 50% correction, and they sell the bottom. So this thing can still cause a lot of trauma and pain if you are an emotional trader or just an emotional investor in general. So don't anticipate this to be an easy ride and just a straight line up to 3 if this count is accurate. So hopefully that helps, guys. See y'all later.